Thank you again, everyone, for making it today. And thank you, Carol, for the introduction. I want to thank every single one of you for all of your time and energy into everything we have done in Banner thus far. I know this is quite the endeavor. So that being said, a couple things to mention. As you can tell on the screen, for training, this is going to take place in Banner Application Pre-Prod or PPRD, okay? The access that you have is going to say the same thing except PROD, okay? That's prod. So in the future when you get access, prod is the live version of Banner. Now, another thing that I want to mention as well for training, especially today, is that this is a very, very general overview. We're not going to dive 10 feet into the water just yet. I think it's important to learn how to swim and navigate this. So very general overview, okay? That being said, let's get started. This first half, as Carol mentioned, is going to take place and talk about permits and overrides for students. So this screen here is essentially what the Banner application page looks like. Now at this point in self-service Banner for students where they see this, for example, consider this the outside view of Banner application, okay? So this is the outside. This is where everything looks pretty and beautiful and wonderful. And Banner application, consider it like the inside, or like this is where we put things together to make things pretty on the outside, so to speak. Now, for overrides and permits in general, this is really going to be for a course section that has a permit, for example. Or let's say the student has a schedule conflict where they absolutely have to take these two courses, but there's an overlap in time. Banner might say, hey, we're not going to register you for that because there's a conflict. Don't worry, we got you. This will help. So on this homepage, again, this is going to look the same when you go into prod, P-R-O-D, and I'll say it here. You have all these options, okay? Primarily, you're going to use this search tab right here. So you really just want to click in here. Now, if there are certain parts or forms or pages of Banner, then you can search them here. And I say those terms because we're going to use them interchangeably. So forms and pages and parts of Banner, they really all mean the same thing. Now, if you use one part of Banner so often, like maybe it's this permanent override I'm about to show you, then you could actually type it in here. For instance, okay. So this is the screen that we're going to use in a minute, but if you wanted this to be a favorite, you could just click that star. And then you can go over to stars over here and it will show you. It's pretty cool. Right here. And there you'll see it. So something to kind of help navigate, okay? So we're going to go back to main menu. And as you can see, I have all these different options, okay? So you'll see name. So now you know my middle name. Then you also have the search bar here. So you can search for parts of Banner here, or you can search here, things of that nature. I would suggest looking around and getting comfortable when you have access. You can see what they all do. So on to permits and overrides. In this search for the permit override for students, it will be this page here. Now it's going to be SFASRPO, or the Student Registration Permit Override. So we could just type in student override. Sometimes if you also use keywords, I've noticed that will help as well. See, right there, keyword. So we're going to just click it. Now we need a student ID, okay? You will need to use the net ID, but you could also type in the student's PID as well. Then it'll tab over, and for term, it's always going to be the year, full year, and in this case, 90, which is fall. So in AIS, it was 4, but in Banner, it's going to be 90, okay? And then you want to click go. So this is John Doe's class schedule for fall 2021. These are the courses that he successfully signed up for. Now you have the CRN, which is the call number per se. It used to be call number in AIS, and Banner it's CRN. You see the subject, the course number, the section. It's actually kind of cool. You see their schedule, everything. This means that they successfully registered. But John decides to give you a call and says, hey, I really want to be in this chemistry course, but it won't let me. Well, that's because on John's side of it, he's looking for a specific chemistry course. So they type in chemistry and you click search. And as John's making his choices, he wants to take probably upper division. He's thinking he's ready for that. And he's thinking, let's try this one right here, Chem 420. Let's give that a go. So we'll click add and then submit, register on the web. All looks good. Whoa, that means that he's not able to register because an instructor has to permit him into the course. So in AIS, that was permit, but in Banner, it's known as instructor approval. Well, how do we get him in the course? I'll show you. So back to this page, okay? This is the one page in the Banner application to do this. In permit, you want to click in here, and at this point, you want to click these three dots. You're going to see these options show, alrighty? It is very important that you know this. You will not be using the registrar office or the extended studies overrides, okay? Those you will not be able to use, but you can use the others. So in this instance with John, he needs an instructor approval because that course is permit only. So to get him in the course, we're going to use this code, alrighty? So we highlight that, click OK. You could also just type in INST. Now, as you can tell, it lets you know the type of permit that it is, and it gives you the CRN for you to put it in. You have to know the section CRN. For this, we already have that. And the student will see it on their end too, right here, okay? Now going back to Banner application, everything else is put in. It automatically pre-fills. And then you click save. When you see this green saved successfully, that means Banner did its job. Now, the inside of Banner, the guts here, this is for an instantaneous change. Okay, so it happens instantly. So now, going back here, and it might take a minute or two, okay? But if we try to register again, and it's just going to take a second. And you know what? Let's actually try this. If John decides, you know what, I want to try it again, it still won't let me, go ahead and let him try remove, and then go back and try re-adding it. Register on the web because you gave him permit. Voila!
Hey, woo!
Right? Pretty exciting stuff. And the save successful. So here's the key thing as you see here. Just because you issue a permit doesn't mean they're automatically in the course. They still have to finish registration. So you do need to pinpoint them to go back in and register for that course. Now, so you're aware, if you have a course that requires a prerequisite, I want to make this pretty clear here. As we know, fall 21, really the only prerequisites that are going to be enforced are test scores. That being said, if you are working with a student for an English course, for example, and they're trying to get in, and there's a test score for that one for fall 21, then this is where you use the prereq, and it's the same exact process. Simple as that. Now, as for time conflict, that's what we also talked about earlier. This would be what you would use, the override code you would use if John Doe says, hey, I want to take another chem course, but there's like a 10-minute overlap. I know I can do it. Is it okay if I show up late for that course? I promise I'll get A's, I'll get A pluses, and you decide that's okay, then you would just change it to time conflict. You would use time conflict. But that comes up with a good question. What if it's both? What if John Doe needs an instructor approval and that time conflict? I got you. If you just go up here and click insert, you can just add it here as well. Simple as that, okay? And we would just put that in there and save it, and then we're good to go. I do see that there are quite a few questions. So Carol, do you mind helping me navigate this one?
One of the questions was about the terms. So they wanted to know what spring and what summer were. And then one of the other questions we have here is who has what permit privileges. Brianna can jump in here, but I think all of you that have received your paperwork, it should be by subject or prefix. For example, Juan would have privileges for all of English to give these permissions for. Faculty themselves can do this for the courses that they teach within Self-Service Banner. So they shouldn't need access other than their own courses. But for those of you that are helping with adjuncts or people that may not be here as often, you would use this form to give those permissions. Let's see, is there something
Is there anyone else that can do that? I understand the instructor can, like a chair, a department, or program director can give permission for the things in their area.
Yeah.
And then a professor could give, or instructor could give permission for their courses. Is there anyone else on the university, at the university, who has the permission to add students to a class besides those, besides a instructor or a program director?
So the registrar's office and extended studies have some different privileges that we can do, but we do not want to be putting those in without something in writing and permission. So we would prefer that it's done within your department as opposed to us doing those. So the admins in the departments will also have that, but I'm assuming they wouldn't do that without some kind of directive that they're allowed to do that. So
what about the CAE, the academic success coaches?
No, they do not have this privilege.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's see, where will we be accessing Banner from? That was a question. I think Brianna, when she sent out your sheets to you, or maybe when your permission comes through, is sending the link. Eventually, we'll have that in your pause for you. You would have not only your self-service Banner link, but a different link within pause. So one of the questions is, can you add permits prior to registration for students? And the answer is yes, you can. So if you already know the CRN number and you want to give a permit prior to the student even attempting it, you can do that, yes. The thing you need to make sure you're getting, though, is, so a student may say, you may say, yes, you can get in this English 101. Then they decide they want to be in a different section, so that would have a separate CRN number. So a new permit would have to be done for that.
I will add to that too. As you can see here, I did pull up the 3 dots. That was a great catch, Carol. Thank you. To show what this looks like for the different numbers. But on that topic, going to the student, if a permit is given and a student accidentally drops from a course, things of that nature for the CRN, just make sure that they're able to successfully log back in and re-register for that course and be able to be permitted into that course. I would recommend double checking that. If a student accidentally drops, but then wants to re-add, there shouldn't be issues if the permit's already there for that same CRN, but just keep an eye out. If the student lets you know, hey, I accidentally dropped the course, but I want to try and get in.